Good evening, everyone. We're going to call the meeting to order. We'll start with our land acknowledgement statement. We acknowledge that the ground on which we live is the traditional territory of Caldwell First Nation, of the Three Fires Confederacy, and the original people of Point Pelee and Pelee Island and its surrounding lands and waters, and that of the Huron-Wendat and Wyandot peoples. We recognize and respect the First Nations who are stewards of the land and waters of Turtle Island and who have embraced the stewardship since time immemorial. We would also like to acknowledge the contributions of other nearby First Nation communities and all original peoples across Turtle Island. If we can now take a moment of silence, and then we will stand for the playing of our national anthem. Okay, if we can get an adoption of the agenda for December 13th. Councillor Richo Spagnuolo, support Councillor Carrick. All in favor? That carries. Any disclosures of pecuniary interest? Okay, there being none, we'll get an adoption of minutes from our meeting held November 8th, as well as the inaugural meeting of council held November 22nd. Councillor Carrick and Councillor Desjardins, all in favor? That carries. Okay, so we have a few comments for this evening. So first of all, we want to welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us for what is our first full meeting of this term of council. We've had some very exciting holiday events taking place here in LaSalle over the last few weekends. Our first official ribbon cutting was held on December 3rd at the event center, as well as our breakfast with Santa and kind of the mayor. And followed that, we also had, well, before that, I guess, was our holiday lights, which switched on November 25th. So if you've not had the chance to visit the holiday lights in LaSalle, which are called the lights, are they Heritage Nights? Heritage LaSalle, right? LaSalle Holiday Lights Heritage Nights. This coming weekend is your last chance to do so and join us for the Family Friday or Sounds of the Season Saturday here at the LaSalle Civic Center, and also visit us for our last holiday night market, which is at the event center this coming Sunday from 6 to 9. We are also offering a chance for residents to win some great prizes from our local businesses by participating in the Hunt for Barry. The mission is to find Barry the elf who has been spotted at local businesses around town. And if you want to join the fun, more information can be found on the news page of our website. Also, mark your calendar for the LaSalle New Year's Eve fireworks on December 31st at the Ballmer Complex. You'll find information on our website and social media in the coming days. And we do look forward to ringing 2023 with all of you. And then one more exciting thing we were able to do this past week, administration joined me at the Humane Society, where we were able to present a very nice check from our event held in October, the Trunk or Treat event. Trunk or treat? Trunk or treat. Truck or treat. We were able to give, I believe it was 2,500 So a $2,500 check to the Humane Society on behalf of our residents and businesses who visit us at that event, which was an extremely successful event. So congratulations to staff and to everybody being able to make such a large donation to a great event and great charity. Okay, we're going to move on to our presentations and delegations for this evening. So I'll invite Chief to join us.
Good evening, Deputy Mayor Akpata and members of council. I'm here to present our 2022 to 2024 strategic business plan. And as I present this plan for the LaSalle Police Service, I'd like to acknowledge the collaborative effort of our strategic business planning committee in the development of this document. Our business plan was developed in concert with two other documents, being the Town of LaSalle 2020 to 2050 strategic plan in the Windsor-Essex Regional Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan 2022 to 2026. As a department of the town of LaSalle, the LaSalle Police Service is charged with the responsibility of ensuring the safety and security of our community. We are committed to the principles and objectives outlined in the town's 30-year strategic plan as we fulfill our core policing responsibilities and duties in the areas of crime prevention, law enforcement, victim assistance, public order maintenance, and emergency response. These core policing duties and responsibilities continue to guide us along each and every day in all that we do. Our new strategic business plan highlights our history, where we've been, where we are today, and where we plan on going tomorrow. As circumstances change and trends emerge, it's important to develop and implement responses in a timely manner. New and reintroduced objectives developed for the business plan delve deeper into our everyday operations and seek to improve community engagement, bolster our investigative capabilities, strengthen our partnerships, as well as enhance employee wellness. As with all best laid plans, they are subject to change and must keep pace with our ever-changing needs and environment. So if I did ask to have it up on the board, if we have it, that'd be great. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so just going through our strategic business plan, a couple things to note. I think one of the main things is our history, and if I can have page 8 up, please. It talks a bit about our the ultimate sacrifice, and I'd like to acknowledge the Constable Robert Carrick, who passed away in the line of duty in 1969, and that's something that we all hold dear in our hearts. We have a plaque up in our station to him, as well as a bridge named after him over the 401. And in the policing world, this is very important to us, obviously, that each of us remember every day that we go and put our lives on the line as we answer that bell, and to make the make our community safer. And just as you go through the business plan, we have some challenges. What's unique about policing the town of LaSalle? Some obvious legislative regulatory changes, effectiveness and efficiency. One thing you'll hear me preach over and over again, whether it's inside our office or outside, is the fact of maximum effectiveness and efficiency. We got to do the best we can with what finances have been afforded to us, and make it go as long as we can, and as use it to the best of our ability. The page 13 and 14 talks about our business development process, and our flow chart on page 15. And just looking out externally at our community partners and where we gather our information, as well as our quality assurance and customer satisfaction further down. And then page 19 and 20 does get into some of our specifics about our crime statistics and where we stand there. And further on from that, looking internally as far as the internal mechanism of our people. And obviously our people are our most important resource, and we certainly rely on them to do the job that we expect them to do. If I can just point out a couple of things from the town strategic plan, and I know Mr. Militia did a pretty good job of reinforcing some of this as well with council at our orientation we had last week, but our service is committed to the same objectives of that business plan, you know, enhancing organizational excellence, sustaining strong public service and infrastructure, strengthen our community engagement with our partners and the town, We're not so much involved in the growing and diversifying our local economy, but if we provide a safe and secure environment for people, they're going to want to come here. And when they want to come here, they'll bring their business here. So we have a vested interest in that. And we certainly want to build on our high quality of life. But that's also, that also includes our people. So our people that are answering the bell for you and making our community safe, we also want to make sure that we look after them. So employee wellness is very much important to us. So if I can just reiterate three themes that we have up, I think on some of the banners that are on Malden Road that talk about being a healthy, vibrant and caring community. I think people need to acknowledge the fact that when they talk about the word healthy and they look at our finances, they look at our people, they look at our community, can they honestly say it's healthy? And I say yes to all. And we also got to look at growth and growth of our community. And are we healthy? We certainly are. When it gets to, we talk about vibrancy, we're full of energy and enthusiasm. And that's one thing I really want to reinforce with our service is to be enthusiastic about what we do and to challenge or champion causes, to get involved and to do things for the right reasons. And our people are there. Our people are there. If you look at what is happening inside our police service and the absence of absenteeism, I guess would be a way of describing it. Our people are committed to being here every day. And that's important because when you start looking at neighboring police agencies, perhaps around the province, it's not so much that way. And our people are committed to coming in every day, and we want to certainly support them and make it a healthy, safe environment for them as well. And talking about caring, obviously, we want to be do the best for each other. We want the best for each other, and we certainly want the best for our community. I just wanted to point out a couple of things when it comes to our community safety and well-being plan. Couple of the objectives that were identified in that plan that came out earlier this year, late last year, was to promote safe, healthy, and connected neighborhoods and communities. Another objective was to provide safe and effective emergency response to those in crisis. As council's aware, our service did apply for continued funding under the Community Safety and Policing Grant. We received funding for continue our COAST project, which is our officer that's partnered with a social worker, engaged with the community to address mental health concerns. And that has been going very well. Another, I guess, priority that probably council has, or messages that council has heard that becomes a priority for us is also traffic enforcement. And the umbrella of traffic is now taken on a whole new form. It was, years ago when I started, it was standing, being outside the road with a radar, a gun in your hand and writing a couple of tickets. Now it involves, well, at that time was breath technicians as well. It involves all kinds of technology now, software downloads. It involves automated license plate reader systems that we just applied for grant funding and received. So there's a whole umbrella of traffic and traffic enforcement initiatives that we're trying to keep a good handle on and have our people out there. So we're working hard with that and answering those issues that present themselves. And aside from that, that's all I have. But if you go to, if you just go to page, just let me find it here in 1 second. I'm a paper guy. Sorry. On page 25 of the strategic business plan, it talks about our direction and objectives have been created for the 13 core policing responsibilities that we answer to under the Ontario Regulation 399 made under the Police Services Act, currently in effect. That's where the business plan is developed from, and it's a requirement to have for every 3 years. But unlike a 30-year plan that the town has, this is something, again, that gets into a bit of the smaller picture items. And but we still want to maintain, as I mentioned at the beginning, keep focused on the bigger picture as well as we continue along. And with that, Mayor Melange.
Thank you very much. It's very different sitting here looking at your faces. Not gonna lie, it's a little intimidating. I really don't have much to add. It was a great presentation as usual. We have a good plan in place for the next 2 years, at least till 2024. And Chief Davies has, talked about being a caring community, and that's what that department has become. And that's why we don't have those absentees that we've spoke about, because it's a great place for them to be. And this is a collaboration from everyone who's in that department. So thank you to you and to your staff.
Sorry, I'd be happy to answer any questions anyone has.
Are there any questions for the chair of the Police Services Board and the chief? I have one. Long-term technology plans, chief. I'm aware through some of the work that I've done before that there's some mandatory long-term technology changes that are coming. And I see you've touched on them. Can you just expand on where we are and where you see us going to meet those requirements by the time frame required, sir?
Yes, when it comes to technology, we're certainly relying on some of our partners to guide us along, but we do have our Deputy Chief Woods who's trying to keep current with what's happening as far as technology goes and making sure that we're up to date with what we need to. To speak about specifics right now, I don't have exactly where we're at with certain items, but we have our hand on the pulse as recently as some communication issues related to NG 911. There's some funding available, I understand with that, and we've been certainly looking at all options right now.
Thank you very much, Chief. I'm glad to see that you're on top of the long-term planning, because I know that it's from my backgrounds, it's been a time coming. Looking to the rest of the team, are there any other questions for the chair of the Police Services Board or for the chief? Seeing none, I'm looking for a motion to accept their report. So moved by Councillor Burns, seconded by Councillor Desjardins. All in favor? Any abstentions? That motion carries. Thank you, Chair and Chief.
Okay, so we have no public meeting and or hearings, so we'll go to H1, which is the report for appointments to the Essex Region Conservation Authority Board of Directors. Okay.
Moves the recommendation.
Okay, moved by Councillor Burns, support by Councillor Carrick. All in favor? That carries. And number 2 is the extension of the agreement for the supply and use of water. I don't know. Dale, did you want to say anything?
I can just add a little bit to the report. Sorry I couldn't be there this evening, just coming down with something. I didn't want to get everyone else around me ill. So this report, currently we're working on an extension, extending our water usage agreement or the water supply agreement with the Windsor Utility Commission. We've been working on it since the summertime, and we are looking at making some changes to the agreement, and it's taken a little bit of time. The main change we're looking at is just increasing our capacity limit, just to ensure that we have appropriate supply of water to our build out into the future. Currently, we're well within our capacity limit, but we just want to, looking forward, growth is a common recurring topic these days with all the building activity happening in the region. We just want to make sure that we're forward thinking and preparing ourselves for the future. So with that, we're just looking at extending the current agreement for 6 months until we've fine-tuned the details of the extension agreement.
Thank you, members of council. Any questions, comments? Councillor Reno?
The extension, is this something that's agreed to at their end? Have they offered anything more than 6 months, or is this a target that we've just put forward?
No, they've actually signed their side of the agreement already. It's mutual. There hasn't been any changes from the previous agreement, which has been working out fine. So there's really, besides looking at increasing our capacity limit, there's the other changes are fairly minor. So it's agreed to on both on their side as well.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Burns?
It says in the report, we're at 22 mega whatever water. What is our daily average today?
I don't know, Mr. Osborne might be able to answer that off the top of his head. I know we're well within it, but Jonathan, would you like to take that?
I'll give it a try. Councillor Burns, through you, Madam Chair, the 22 megaliters is what the maximum is in the current agreement. Today, we're probably at about 15 or 16 or so. Ultimate growth, we need to get to about 47, 48 is the magic number that we need to try to get to. So that's what we're trying to work on with respect to the water agreement for the future growth of the town.
Thank you. Another supplement. Oh, I'm sorry. Your worship, another supplement is, it says here on page 67 that this agreement is approved by the commissioners in respect to the commission and by council. I'm assuming that the commissioners are Windsor Utility.
Yeah, the Windsor Utility Commission.
There was a provision at one time, the final question of, we own 25% of that plant, which is not very well known, through improvements to it. Do we still own 25%? And if so, are we putting money away either with the commission or in our own pockets for any future upgrades at that plant?
Mr. Mara, or who wants to take that one?
I'll give it a try. Councillor Burns, through you, Madam Chair. That was that process was rectified when we renewed our last agreement with respect to ownership and capital improvements. The last time we renewed back in 2017 or so, all of that was flushed out. Sorry, no pun intended, but it was rectified and reconciled through that process. As we go forward, that is really what we're asking for, is when we need to get to the ultimate figure of 47, 49, what is our cost to get there, so that we can roll that into DC, so that we can ensure that growth is paying for our share of what it's required to get to that number in the future. Similar to what we did on the wastewater side, is we went and we pre-purchased a whole host of sanitary sewer capacity, and that dollar value was rolled into our development charges over the years. So we're looking to do the same thing on the water side to match our output. So we are getting water in to match our output that we've purchased for the wastewater side.
Just to follow up then, so I understand, if we are going to put money in for capital, who keeps the money? Do we keep it, or do we entrust the commission to keep those reserves?
I can take that one. Included in our per liter or per megaliter calculation, our fee that we pay, there is a capital component to that. So they keep that on their end, but we do not, like any capital works that they perform on the existing infrastructure, that's already factored in. We don't have to pay any extra money other than what we pay on a monthly basis.
Thank you very much, Dale. And
Any other members of council? Questions, concerns? Okay, you have a recommendation in front of you. Moved by Councillor Burns, support by Councillor Richo Spagnolo. All in favor? It carries. H3 is the sponsorship agreement with Windsor Essex Community Foundation. And I believe that's Ms. Hadre.
Thank you, Mayor Merlosh. We're pleased to be chosen as a recipient of the Windsor Essex Community Foundation's 40th Anniversary Municipal Legacy Grant. This anniversary is taking place in 2023 and is perfect timing to develop an entrance garden at the event center on Front Road to acknowledge this achievement. The contribution from WECF is $15,000. Recently, an announcement was made by the newly formed LaSalle Community Fund that they will be matching those funds for a total of a $30,000 project. The development of the garden was not specifically included in the 2022 to 2025 phase of the waterfront project. However, there are funds for landscaping and trails in the budget. This is allowing us to fast track this project to be completed in 2023. Administration is working with our architects to design the garden and will present those drawings to council at a future meeting. This report here tonight is seeking council's approval to enter into an agreement with the Windsor Essex Community Foundation. I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Thank you very much. Members of council, any questions? None? On the motion in front, move the recommendation. Councillor Reno, support by Councillor Desjardins. All in favor? And that is moved. Item 4 is our 2023 insurance renewal. Mr. Langlois.
All right, so we did receive our insurance renewal for the year. It is a significant increase at 19% year over year. However, in speaking with the other treasurers in the region, this is pretty much consistent across the board with the increases that everyone's experiencing. On a positive note, our cyber insurance premium has only increased by 2.2%. You know, in recent years, that the price of cyber insurance has went up significantly. So, you know, with all the security and other items that we've been implementing recently, that's definitely helped keep our cyber insurance rates low. So I'd be happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions, Councillor Carrick?
Sorry, through your worship, to Dale. I don't see any other companies here. It's just a recommendation to stay with what we are. Do we look at Cowan or anybody else like that?
Yeah, well, this is Cowan. They've changed over to Intact. You know, over the past 5 years, I think we were with Cowan, and then we switched over to another company. I can't think of the name off the top of my head. Then about 2 years after that, we switched back. So, you know, we are doing our due diligence every couple of years, but JLT, that's the name of the company that we switched to. But, you know, with Cowan and now Intact, the service level is superior compared to the rest that we've experienced. And at this point, I think we're at the lowest price that we can get. But every couple of years, we do go out and look at comparators. And there is limited number of insurance companies that provide services to municipalities.
And thank you very much for that answer.
Any other questions? I feel like Mayor Bondi would have had one. I just don't have one for. He's watching, you know, let us know. But no, I don't really have any questions myself. I think it's pretty straightforward and it's unfortunate, but like you said, everyone's kind of going through the same thing right now. So it is what it is. The recommendation, move Councillor Carrick, support Councillor Capata or Deputy Mayor Capata. All in favor? Okay. Moving on to information items to receive. There's 5 items in front of you. If I can get someone to move that. Councillor Burns, support by Councillor Carrick. All in favor? And does anybody want to pull any of those items out to be discussed? Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Your Worship. I'd like to pull out the National Urban Park just to get some more understanding from my perspective as to where we sit with what's going on with the park proposal, the park proposals that I've been privy to.
Okay, I think that's probably Mr. Amara who would take that one.
Thank you for the question. Through you, Madam Chair, to Deputy Mayor Akapata. The report before you tonight and is regarding the National Urban Park. In specific to this is lands that lie within LaSalle that provide a natural extension of what is currently being proposed in Windsor. Through Ms. Beggs and myself, we have been sitting on a partner committee meeting over the last 3 or 4 months. We meet on a monthly basis. At these partner committee meetings are representatives from the federal government through Parks Canada, representatives from the city of Windsor, as well as Caldwell First Nations and Walpole Island First Nations. In addition to all of these folks, we have representatives from the provincial government of Ontario Parks, Ministry of Natural Resources, Ministry of Transportation, and Hydro One. Through these discussions, we have been working on identifying the National Urban Park that lies in Windsor. So as you have seen over the last little while, public notice has been put out for what is being proposed in Windsor. They have withheld what is currently in front of you tonight regarding LaSalle's contributions and land candidates. We wanted to get in front of council to bring council up to speed and the general public. So going forward, should council approve this tonight, you will start to see the lands that are identified in our report tonight being proposed as part of all future consultation processes through this National Urban Park Committee. With respect to the National Urban Park, so figure 1 within the report shows what is currently out there for public consumption. These are the lands that lie within the city of Windsor. Figure 2 shows those lands in addition to lands in LaSalle that will be proposed going forward. We're really at the initial stages of this process. This process is quite involved, and it requires a number of key points along the way. First and foremost is defining what lands make an urban park and really refining and defining the boundary. So although we're putting lands forward, they may not become part of the urban park, just depending on the criteria of what is chosen. We're in that process now of working out what that criteria is. I don't have any specifics regarding that at this point. We're still in that initial stages. Once we determine boundaries, it then comes into a governance model. The governance model really determines how this park operates, who owns the lands, all the amenities, maintenance, and all of those things that go along with it. So there is options, again, from one end to the other, where the city of Windsor maintains their ownership, Town of LaSalle maintains our ownership, and it's a partner agreement with the federal government, and there's funding, or the federal government takes over all the lands and they pay the appropriate values for those lands and they take care of all maintenance. So that still needs to be worked out. We don't know what that governance model will be at this point. We're still in that process. So the first thing is to really identify the boundaries, confirm the boundaries, and then work on the governance model, because we really need to understand who is a partner in the whole National Urban Park process. So certainly that has been put forward. Ms. Beggs, as I noted, Ms. Beggs and myself have been part of the process. We continue to represent the Town of LaSalle. So through that, we would continue to represent LaSalle should council agree with this. On the consultation side, again, there is going to be points and times where the National Urban Park Committee is going out for public consultation. So they're currently out for public consultation now. It closes in 2 days. It was a bit of, again, it would have been nice for us to get this approval sooner, but we were struggling with the election. So this is the first opportunity that we've had a chance to get in front of council. So going forward, you'll start to see LaSalle lands on there should they continue to be part of this process. In the future, should additional lands come along, and let's assume that all the lands that are put forward are part of the National Urban Park. In the future, as development occurs within our greenfield areas, or there's other areas that become available, there's opportunities to include and extend these national urban parks in the future. So again, there's a lot of natural areas that lie south of this when you look in LaSalle. So certainly we would look at those opportunities at that time when the town either becomes ownership of those lands or those lands become designated as natural environment. And there's probably some connectivity components to pulling in those lands into the urban national park. It's important to note that the lands that we have put forward for LaSalle, most of them, not all of them, most of them are currently zoned natural environment or recreational. And most of them, not all of them, are owned by the Town of LaSalle. So there are some private lands still in there, as the same thing is included in the city of Windsor, that there's lands that are privately owned in the city of Windsor. So that's another hurdle that as we go through the process, how do we deal with those private landowners? So there's a lot of moving parts to this process, and certainly we would continue to work through the process with the partner committee. With that, I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Meyer. Council? Councilor Renner.
Thank you, Peter, for the explanation. Just one quick question I have. This is in regards to the fact that I believe the Cahill drain is within these lands. Am I correct with that? So knowing that the Drainage Act is an Ontario law, and this is now the federal government that's looking to take over this area, is there going to be any complications down the road if we are to be included in this, in getting these drains cleaned in the future, or being able to mitigate any flooding issues that we have in the future?
Thank you, Councilor Reynolds, through you, Madam Mayor. That is part of some of the criteria that we have brought forward from LaSalle's perspective, is protecting the infrastructure that's currently existing through some of these areas. So as you can see, Hydro One exists all the way through here. So Hydro One's at the table because their lands are going to be identified as National Urban Park, but they do need to maintain some clearance and clearing underneath their lines. Similar thing, we have a number of water mains and sewer pipes that run through some of the wood lots that we've identified. So we need to make sure that we can get in there and maintain it. So that is part of the governance model, to speak about how do those important infrastructure aspects become available to maintain. If they didn't allow us to maintain Turkey Creek, for example, it's a key component that runs through here. It would hold up water from entering in LaSalle and probably back up into Windsor. So I don't think the best interest is for anybody to block that up, because again, Turkey Creek is a large watershed area. So we are working through those manners and those matters, and trying to best determine how to identify and keep those existing infrastructure that's important to the community free and cleared and maintained.
Thank you.
Councillor Burns?
Again, these are only preliminary discussions. I have no problem with it. But over the years, the town of LaSalle has spent millions of dollars of taxpayers' money acquiring this land. And I certainly wouldn't want to see all of a sudden now we give an asset away without looking out for the interests of the residents. Again, drainage, as Mr. Reynolds brought up, Councilor Reynolds, is important to us. And if this is just preliminary with no, we have to sign on the line that these lands are gone. I wouldn't be for that, but if it's a preliminary report that comes back, I think we should look at it. But I'd certainly like to see us in control of what's in our town. You know, they may have their guidelines, we may be able to meet those guidelines and still retain the land we have. Or some cost sharing agreement or whatever, but I'm sure that'll come down the road. That's my only concern. Thank you, Your Worship.
Councilor Burns, through Madam Mayor, that is certainly understood from our side. We suspect that as we get through and we develop the governance models, we'll probably be back in front of council to review what that governance model looks like, and confirm, and also confirm with council that what lands are included. So we will be probably seeking council's approval again. Again, it's LaSalle owned lands, and we need to get council's approval to whether we opt out of maintaining them, pass them over to another provider to maintain them. We will be back in front of council with that information. So you will see that as we start to work out some of the governance model, but certainly your point is well taken.
Anyone else? Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you to Mr. Mara. Mr. Mara, I attended a presentation in late August that was a private member discussing about a private member's bill. There was members of the community there. Can you just speak to exactly the driving force behind this? Because there seems to be, from my perspective, two progressions, and I want to make sure that I understand the notes that I took at that meeting vis-a-vis what you're discussing today, sir.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Through you, Madam Chair. The private members bill is a smaller land area that lies within the city of Windsor. So what you see on figure 1 is a lot larger than the private members bill. Through the process, if the private members bill passes, those lands that are identified in that private member bill will become a national urban park with no information on how it's going to be governed, who owns it, or anything like that. Through this process that we're going through to expand on the private members bill, there will be a process in place on how it's governed, how it's maintained, and all of those real details of what we really need for when we enter into that process. That will be done through policy at the federal government level through their National Urban Parks Act legislation. So that's the difference between the private members bill and the current National Urban Park process that you see here. The private members bill is a lot smaller in area, and it lies solely in the city. And then what they have built upon that is added more lands in the city. And now, should council approve, we're adding more lands in the town of LaSalle to add into this national urban park.
Thank you very much, Your Worship.
Anyone else? I have a few comments myself. I was able to go to the open house the city of Windsor put on, and I think there's just still a lot of unanswered questions for everyone involved. And the private members bill along with this are two technically totally different things. So it is a little bit confusing when you're trying to understand where LaSalle stands in it. But the open house was beneficial. However, at the time, like I said, this conversation hadn't taken place and LaSalle wasn't really part of that discussion as far as council is concerned. So this is all new for us, but at the same time, I'm really excited about it because I think the lands that you've selected or put forth at this point are, you know, a great first starting step. And I can see us adding, like you said, southern areas to this because there's a lot more in LaSalle that we could add to continue to kind of get that natural area in our green space. But I agree with Councillor Burns. There's a lot of unanswered questions that we definitely want to have first before we say yes. But that's also understanding that this is a selection process. And that was kind of what the city of Windsor discussed at that open house is this isn't even a guarantee. We need to kind of almost put our best foot forward and show what we can do. And then there's a selection process before we even know if this is going to happen in our region. So for us, it's a lot of work up front and hopes that we get this in our area, which would be a great addition to Windsor Essex County. But at first we got to finally get a seat at the table and have those discussions, which our administration is doing now. So as of right now, we do have that recommendation put in front of us. And like Mr. Meyer said, they will definitely be coming back because there are a lot of things that we still need to know. So at this time, members of council on the recommendation, Councillor Carrick, Deputy Mayor, and all in favor. That carries. Okay. Why do I have so many of these things? So okay. We're going to move on to item J, which is bylaws. And we have a recommendation that the following bylaws be given a first, second, and third reading and finally passed. We have 8753, a bylaw to authorize the execution of a developer's severance agreement with Royal Oak Luxury Builders, and 8754, a bylaw to appoint an alternate member to Essex County Council. If I can get first, second, and third reading. Councillor Reno, support by Councillor Desjardins, all in favor? Okay. Committee matters. Councillor Carrick.
So I wasn't gonna speak, but I'll just say a quick thing about IRCA. I was talking to James Bryant from IRCA, and he said that the Turkey Creek hydraulic and hydrologic modeling report is complete, and we should be getting it if we haven't already got it. So by the end of this month, so within a very short time, we are going to get it. And he said that it's a very good report, and hopefully it works out well for us.
Anything else on committees? No. Questions and statements by council members? Go ahead, Councillor Carrick.
I don't want to steal the mayor's thunder, but Merry Christmas, everybody, and Happy New Year.
Okay. Councillor Reno.
Thank you, Your Worship. On behalf of many people that have reached out to me, I want to thank all of administration for all your hard work in promoting the new event center and getting people down there in hosting a number of events now that have been very successful and have appeared to be very successful to many people that have come out. So it's been a great start. Keep up the great work and thank you.
Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Your Worship. December 22nd at the Volmer is the annual Villanova versus Sandwich. I always put Sandwich first because my children play on that hockey team. So hopefully it's a good day of local hockey with our young people skating at our facility. Hopefully people can find time to be there around noon for the rest of the day. And I know that the Culture and Rec team has connected with the school to make sure we have a safe and wonderful event within our community. So we hope to see everyone out there to cheer on our players.
Okay. On that, I'm actually going to ask a question to administration. If we could possibly get a report on a user fee comparison with respect to schools across our region and how it's handled in other municipalities. Guess that's the best way to put it. Okay. Okay. Any notices of motion? There being none, we had a closed session this evening before the open meeting where we were discussing the appointment to 3 of our committees. And that's it for that. And yes, the minutes will reflect who's appointed to each of those committees. All right, we have a confirmative bylaw. The confirmative bylaw 8755 be given a first, second, and third reading. Councillor Renault, Councillor Burns, all in favor. We also have a schedule of meetings here below. And then I just also wanted to take the time to thank everybody, public watching, everybody here tonight, all the staff of the town of LaSalle. You know, we've come out of a hectic couple years, and following an election, I don't think it got any quieter for anybody here in the town of LaSalle. So I just want to thank everybody for their hard work and everything they did this year. And I just want to wish everybody a very safe and happy holiday season. And we will see everybody in 2023. Thank you for joining us.